My stepdaughter asked me for $5,000, and when I said no, she accused me of SA, and my wife believed her without any proof and tried to ruin my life. I, 45M, a regular guy with a steady job in a small manufacturing firm, didn't expect my world to flip upside down over a simple no. I'd been married for 3 years to a woman who brought a teenage daughter into our home. At first, the girl was quiet, sullen, and I tried to give her space. As time passed, she warmed up enough to accept occasional gifts, designer clothes, a new phone, things I provided to show I cared. It was never a perfect bond, but I thought we had at least some baseline respect. A few months ago, my stepdaughter, now 19, cornered me after dinner. She waited until my wife was upstairs, then casually asked for $5,000. No explanation, just a shrug and a "you can afford it, right?" I couldn't just hand over that kind of money. We weren't rich. I've been saving for a long postponed vacation, and I felt no reason to indulge her sudden demand. So, I told her no. I even asked why she needed it. She rolled her eyes and walked off, muttering something under her breath. The next morning, something felt off. My wife barely looked at me. My stepdaughter glared as if I'd committed a crime. Then my wife stormed into the living room, fury lighting her eyes, and demanded, "What did you do to my daughter last night?" Confused, I asked what she meant. She spat accusations I could hardly believe, claiming her daughter said I made inappropriate advances, that I'd tried to corner her physically. My heart thumped. It was a disgusting lie, and I said so. I insisted we call the police, get this sorted out properly. But my wife's reaction chilled me. She didn't want proof, didn't want an investigation. She just believed her daughter instantly, hurling insults and threats at me. I tried to explain that this had to do with money. The timing was too convenient. She said I was gaslighting them. My stepdaughter hovered nearby, smirking subtly when my wife's back was turned. That smirk, it told me everything. This was deliberate. My refusal to pay had triggered something ugly. My wife told me to pack my bags, ordered me to leave my own home, or she'd report me. Stunned, I stood there, facing 2 women I thought cared about honesty, now painting me as a monster. I knew I needed help. I called a lawyer who had once advised me on a minor property dispute. He agreed to see me immediately. After I explained, he laid out the reality. If my stepdaughter accused me formally, I'd be facing a serious legal battle. False accusations are tough, but not unbeatable. He urged me to remain calm, gather evidence, and not lash out. According to him, many times these cases hinge on credibility and motive. He told me to find proof of the extortion attempt. The fact she asked for money first was crucial. I decided I'd fight back, but I needed a plan. I wouldn't just roll over and lose my career, my reputation, and everything I'd built. I spent the next day strategizing. Before leaving the house, my wife had made it clear I wasn't welcome. I grabbed a few belongings, careful not to appear hostile or confrontational. My stepdaughter watched from the hallway, arms folded, a small grin tugging at her lips. It made my stomach turn. She knew the power of her accusation, how a single word could wreck a man's life. And yet, there was that smirk, as if she'd scored a victory. I moved into a modest motel room a few miles away. While there, I combed through old text messages and emails. Nothing explicitly tied her request for money to the accusation. I needed more. The lawyer advised I should never meet with either of them alone again, but a careful, recorded conversation, if done legally, could help. In my state, I could record a phone call as long as one party me consented. That night, I tried calling my wife to reason with her, to ask for mediation. She picked up, furious and spitting threats, but refused to discuss details. She just kept repeating, "You know what you did?" I recorded every word. Nothing useful yet, but I noted her refusal to consider evidence. The next day, I tried contacting my stepdaughter directly. I sent a calm, carefully worded text. "Can we talk about what happened? If you feel I've wronged you, I'm willing to listen, but I'm confused. You asked for money, I said no, and suddenly these accusations appeared. I'd like to understand. She replied hours later with a brief message, "Stay away, or I'll go to the police." Perfect. A subtle threat. I forwarded that to my lawyer. He said it was a good start, showing a pattern of using threats. But we needed something clearer. The lawyer recommended a private investigator, someone who could help find out if my stepdaughter had done similar things before, or if there were witnesses to her entitled behavior who might support my version. I agreed, hiring one discreetly. It cost money, but my reputation and freedom were on the line. Meanwhile, I suspected my wife might be colluding to frame me for a financial settlement and divorce. False accusations can force a man to flee, sign anything to avoid jail, especially if the accuser threatens to escalate. To counter this, I immediately filed a petition with the court to establish a formal hearing. If they wanted to accuse me, do it in front of a judge. My lawyer told me that if they made false statements under oath, we could counter with defamation or even perjury charges. The legal process would be slow, but it was better than cowering in fear. The tension rose when I received a letter at the motel's front desk. It was from my wife's lawyer, claiming I should settle amicably by paying a large sum to keep matters private, essentially hush money. I nearly laughed at the irony. They wanted me to pay to protect myself from a lie they created. I took that letter straight to my lawyer. Now we had something tangible, an attempt at extortion. Armed with the hush money letter, my lawyer helped me file a formal response. We contacted the wife's lawyer, stating we were aware of the false accusations, had evidence of extortion attempts, and were prepared to involve the authorities if they didn't cease immediately. The next day, my stepdaughter doubled down. She left a voicemail on my phone, screaming that if I didn't pay up soon, she'd go to the police and have me arrested. I recorded every second. In that same voicemail, she slipped up, "If you'd just given me the $5,000 like I asked, we wouldn't be in this mess." Perfect. That sentence was gold. We took that voicemail straight to the police. My lawyer advised me that while false accusations of SA are taken seriously, so is extortion. We presented the voicemail, the letter from their lawyer, and other communications. The detective listened carefully, asked questions, then noted this could be a case of attempted extortion through a fabricated assault claim. They'd need to investigate thoroughly. I knew it wouldn't be quick or easy, but at least I wasn't powerless. A week passed without a peep from my wife. Then suddenly, I got a call from a relative. My wife had started spreading rumors among family and friends that I was a dangerous man. Some relatives reached out, concerned. I calmly explained the situation, even played the voicemail for one trusted cousin. Shocked, he agreed to testify if needed. People who knew me well found it hard to believe I'd do something so vile. But some, who barely knew me, might buy the lies. I realized public perception could turn against me without careful action. The private investigator came through a few days later. He found out my stepdaughter had a history of manipulating people for money. An ex-boyfriend who left town after she drained his savings. A former friend who claimed she demanded cash to keep silent about some fabricated drama. Although these past incidents weren't as severe as SA accusations, they painted a pattern of extortion and deceit. My lawyer felt more confident. We now had character witnesses who could attest to her manipulative nature. It was time to confront them legally. We filed a defamation lawsuit against my wife and stepdaughter, alleging that their false claims damaged my reputation and livelihood. If they responded by pressing false charges, we were ready to refute them with all the evidence gathered. My lawyer also hinted to their side that we might pursue criminal extortion charges if they persisted. The ball was in their court. In a surprising twist, their lawyer reached out to mine, sounding nervous and conciliatory. He asked if we could resolve this matter without going to trial. It seemed the threat of perjury, extortion charges, and exposure spooked them. I refused any deal that didn't include a full retraction and a signed statement admitting they lied. My lawyer agreed this was the best course. If they wanted out, they had to come clean publicly. I braced myself for the final showdown, knowing it could blow up. But I wouldn't settle. I wouldn't pay a dime. It was time for them to face consequences. They finally agreed to a meeting in my lawyer's office. My wife, my stepdaughter, their attorney, and mine. I arrived early, feeling calm for the first time in weeks. The door opened, and in they walked, looking tense. My stepdaughter tried to avoid my gaze, fiddling with her phone. My wife, once confident and fiery, now looked hollow, as if the weight of her lies pressed down on her shoulders. Their lawyer cleared his throat. My clients are prepared to issue a statement retracting their allegations. He pushed a sheet of paper forward. My lawyer and I read it. It stated clearly that the accusations of SA were fabricated, made out of anger and financial frustration. It apologized for any harm done to my reputation. My wife's name and my stepdaughter's name were both there, signed at the bottom. I looked at them and said, "This isn't enough. I want it notarized, and I want it public. You spread these lies far and wide. You don't get to whisper the truth privately and walk away." They balked, but their lawyer knew we held all the cards. Public retraction was the only way to avoid a trial and possible criminal charges. So they agreed. A week later, they posted a formal apology online and sent a copy to key family members. My stepdaughter's voice cracked as she read a short statement on a private video call arranged through the lawyers. She admitted that she invented the accusation because I refused to give her money. My wife confirmed she believed her daughter blindly and tried to extort me without any evidence. They looked defeated. They had no choice but to surrender their pride to protect themselves from a harsher legal storm. As soon as that was done, I withdrew the defamation suit, as agreed. But I wasn't obligated to maintain any relationship with them. I filed for divorce promptly. My wife had proven she'd stand against me without evidence. My stepdaughter's mask had shattered, revealing a cold entitlement beneath. The divorce process played out swiftly once the truth came out. She couldn't demand much. Her credibility was shot. The court sympathized with my position. Within a few months, the divorce was finalized, leaving me free of their toxicity. My stepdaughter received no money from me, no settlement, nothing. She faced the public shame of being exposed as a liar. My now ex-wife moved out of state, rumor had it, to start fresh where fewer people knew her story. I rebuilt my life, focused on work, reconnected with old friends who supported me throughout the ordeal. I'd learned that standing firm, using the law properly, and refusing to cower before blackmailers was worth it. True justice sometimes takes patience and nerve. If seeing entitled liars face the music made your day, smash that subscribe button. Because trust me, there's always another storm brewing, and I'll be here to tell